Welcome in. Belly up, have a seat, grab a drink as we talk some Wingman Fantasy Football. Welcome into another edition of Wingman Fantasy Football, the League Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Furley, and as always, I'd like to thank all of you, or any of you who may be watching or listening to today's show. This is episode 160, a Week 2's two-point conversation. And it's my great pleasure to welcome back to the bar, Mr. Bernie, a.k.a. Team B.
I'm Cuban B. Yes, Cuban B.
How are you doing tonight, Bernie?
I am doing 134 smiles good.
You are having a very good week, personally, professionally, and everything in between. Well done to you, sir. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
All right, guys. So in this show, we will start off with some player news. We'll go through the studs and duds for week 2. We'll also settle into a nice week 2's two-point conversation where we bring in our special guests for this week and talk about our featured Sunday afternoon game. And then we'll take a look at some early waiver wire targets. But before we do any of that, let's make sure that everybody is in the room. Wingmen assemble! All right, now that everyone is here, let's get into some news and notes. Starting off with the Thursday night game here, we had Jayden Reed left Thursday night's game with a fractured collarbone. He will be placed on the IR, and he's expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks, hopefully returning sometime in November. On that same game on Thursday night, Austin Ekeler went down with a horrible Achilles injury and is now expected to be done for the remainder of the season. Also, quarterback for the Commanders, Jaden Daniels, tweaked his knee on Thursday in the Thursday night loss to the Packers, and at the moment, it is not considered to be a major concern, in quotes, but there is some concern that he may miss some time, so definitely keep an eye on those practice reports during the week, and we'll monitor to see his availability going into week 3. What do you have on these Thursday night players, these injuries? 2 guys out for a while, 1 guy hopefully out not at all.
Yeah, 2 guys out for a while is a big deal. Jaden Daniels, though, hopefully he's not out. If he does go out, though, I would definitely monitor his assets just to make sure that you've got all your bases covered with Jaden Daniels. But hopefully, like you said, it's not a major concern yet, so we're going to monitor it and see what happens. But Austin Ekeler, Jayden Reed, what can you say, man? What can you say? It's just a tough loss for Ekeler for sure.
All right, moving along, we got some rookies, some in, some out. We have Jaden Blue, rookie running back for the Dallas Cowboys, was a healthy scratch for the second consecutive week, leaving the running back duties to the veterans Miles Sanders and Bernie's start of the week, Javonte Williams. And we have Kinchon Judkins. It was activated this week. Judkins not only made his season debut, his NFL career debut, but he was also the Browns starter, getting a majority of the carries and snaps, earning himself a spot in that starting running back for the Cleveland Browns. Oh, and this one hurts. Joe Burrow left Sunday's game early with a toe injury. It is thought to be a torn ligament in his left toe, which is also known as turf toe, or at least something similar. He's expected to miss several weeks. However, if he elects to have surgery, he could miss up to 3 months. What do you have on these 3 players here, Bernie?
Make sure that Judkins, you get a good idea of the rest of your roster before you just immediately plug him in. And then just be careful with Joe Burrow and his assets. So hopefully he misses the weeks and not the months. Jamar Chase did end up having a good stat line, but going forward, the uncertainty of a backup quarterback coming in just creates uncertainty across the board. Might get a little Chase Brown bump just to alleviate some of the stress put onto the quarterback position.
I don't want to spend too much time on it, but is curious, what are your thoughts on Jaden Blue being healthy scratches after being a touted rookie after the draft?
Well, I think that the rest of the Cowboys run game, is going to be okay. It's it's there might be something like going on internally within the organization and that, but having Miles Sanders, having Javonte Williams, I'm not too concerned with it. But it is interesting. But it's Jerry's world, so who knows what's going on.
All right, there you're no doubts about that. All right, we have a couple players who left today with concussions. Starting off with Justin Fields. Oh, it's unfortunate. He was playing poorly before this point, but he did leave the game at sometime in the fourth quarter, I believe. You can correct me if I'm wrong. With a concussion, making his Week 3 availability in doubt. Also, Kyle Juszczyk from the 49ers, another 49er injury. He left today's game also with a concussion, meaning that he may miss Week 3. And we have Jadeveon Clowney was signed by the Cowboys as a discount option to replace the departed Micah Parsons. What do you have on these players here? You got two players exiting with concussions, and Jadeveon Clowney might bolster the defensive line for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, my big player concern here is going to be Kyle Juszczyk. San Francisco is already decimated with injuries, but he's a cornerstone for the 49ers run blocking scheme here for Christian McCaffrey. So if that's going to change, then there's going to have to be a lot of other pieces that move along. So losing him, not having the tight end that name escapes me at the moment, um, is also going to be a big deal for blocking and some of their formations.
All right. Are you concerned about Justin Fields? He played pretty poorly today before exiting.
I'm concerned with Justin Fields because he plays on the Jets. I
Fair
might
enough.
be concerned for some of those receivers as well, but I'm not worried about the Jets too much. If you've got Jets players on your roster, you've got one or two running backs and one or two wide receivers at most. Probably just one wide receiver.
Yeah.
So those teams, you should have options. The running backs are probably not they're probably going to be your RB2s anyway. The receivers though might be your RB1. So hopefully that gets sorted out. I like Justin Fields. Justin Fields was a QB2 though. He shouldn't be your QB1. So I think it's going to be okay for whoever's got Justin Fields.
All right. Next on the list here, we have Daniel Jones. Is he simply the best quarterback in the league? We'll discuss in a moment. We have a pair of Falcons who were questionable all week, but did make it onto the field, including Darnell Mooney, who made his season debut for the Falcons, and Drake London got on the field after exiting last week with a shoulder injury. What do you have on Daniel Jones? I've heard there might be a new nickname out there for him. I'm not sure. And we have a couple of Falcons who came back and were ready to fly.
Yeah, so the Falcons receivers being back on the field is great for Atlanta. They've got a tough matchup against Minnesota's defense, and it just seems like the having Drake London, having Darnell Mooney, having McLeod, and having Kyle Pitts on the team is only going to benefit Penix if they use them wisely. Um, I think that Drake London is really going to see the majority of the upside to having everybody on the field and healthy. And Daniel Jones. I mean, I don't want to say that I knew all along, because I didn't draft him, but I knew all along that he's good. So we're watching the game. The games are just about to end. Indy is going to win this game. And right before I can send out my message to a group chat, our buddy in the group chat, Mr. CPG, I know you watch us. Thanks for watching, bud. Busts out the Indiana Jones exclamation point, and he beat me to it. So now we've got no more Danny Dimes. Danny Dimes is in New York, and that's done. Now we've got Indiana Jones playing in
I'm trying to think of
Indianapolis.
a an iconic line that Indy says. I'll find it. We'll get a soundbite for him. We'll get an Indiana Jones. A little whip crack. Whenever he does a good play.
No, no, no. You got to get short round in there, and you got to get him saying, "You call him Dr. Jones."
Oh, that's good. All right. Thank you. Collaboration. I appreciate that. All right. Moving along to some players who are in the Monday night game this week. We have Chris Godwin and Christian Kirk. Both of these players are not going to play this week. We saw Chris Godwin get back on the practice field as he's rehabbing from, I believe it's a knee injury, if I'm not mistaken, but he is going to miss at least this week, if not a couple more weeks. And Christian Kirk didn't practice at all this week and is now missing his second consecutive game to start the season. And Brock Bowers, who has that knee tweak, was listed as questionable all week long. But he did get a practice in on Saturday, and at the moment he is listed as questionable. But all indications are that he will be ready to play on Monday night. However, it is not in stone. Have a backup plan ready just in case. Don't be surprised. Be prepared. What do you have on these guys? Two missing, and one hopefully should be on the field.
Yeah, I think that the other receivers are just going to benefit. These guys weren't going to be your or these team starting receivers, so you'll get some benefit out from the starting receivers over there. But Brock Bowers is the one that really concerns me. It's going to be a tough game against the Chargers. Without Brock Bowers, if he's not on the field, the Chargers are just going to have their way, I think, defensively against LA. But if Brock Bowers is on the field, then that changes everything. He's such a dynamic player, and he creates opportunities that you just don't get from an average player.
I agree. I agree completely. All right, guys, it is now time to get into this week's studs and duds.
Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
Wingman Fantasy Football Studs and Duds.
All right, Bernie, I have to say this week had a lot more high-scoring games than last week, so we have a lot more studs to go through. Why don't you start us off with the studs for week number 2?
All right, starting off our stud list, we've got 4 quarterbacks, which is great to see. That means that we had some high-scoring games out of these guys. Lamar Jackson, 26.3 points. 225 passing yards, 13 rushing touchdowns, and 4 passing touchdowns. Lamar used his arm today to get some points. Not going to sit by Lamar's side, but Drake May also scored 26.3 points today. 230 passing yards, 31 rushing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and 1 rushing touchdowns. And Mr. Bryce Young coming off of a strong end of last season, and he said, I need to be a stud this season. 25.32 points, 328 passing yards with 3 passing touchdowns. And Dak Prescott, he's seen it. He's done it. He knows what needs to happen. 24.14 points for Dak, 361 passing yards, 17 rushing touchdowns, and 2 passing touchdowns.
I'll say this now because we won't have time to discuss it too much later. Bryce Young took advantage of what you thought was a half of garbage time, ended up being a half of comeback mode time and a chance to actually take this one down. Bryce Young took full advantage of the Arizona Cardinals taking their foot off of the gas. All right, moving along to another quarterback who made this list for 2 weeks in a row, despite his team losing twice in a row. Patrick Mahomes had 24.02 points on 187 passing yards, 67 rushing yards. He's getting it done on the ground. He had a passing touchdown and a rushing TD. And one of my favorite receivers, Puka Nacua,
Hakuna Matata.
had 23.6 points. He got it done on the air and in the air and on the ground. He had 136 total yards with 8 receptions, including a 45-yard rushing touchdown. Devon the Man Achane, the opposite of Puka Nacua, even though he's a running back, he gets his work done in the air at 22.2 points. He had 122 total yards. 91 of those came in the receiving game on 8 receptions and 1 touchdown. And Javonte Williams, superstar running back, start of the week, according to Bernie, who came through once again, getting 22 points even on 133 total yards, 6 receptions, and a touchdown. And it wasn't just a 2-yard plunge, it was a 30-yard scamper. Javonte Williams is a stud in week number 2.
All right, next up on our list, Tucker Kraft. And I haven't seen Tucker Kraft on this list in quite some time, if at all. 21.4 points for Tucker. Good job, Tucker. 124 receiving yards, 6 receptions, and 1 touchdown. And this guy, Troy Franklin, question mark? Wow, 20 points for Mr. Troy. 100 total yards, 8 receptions and 1 touchdown. Good job, Mr. Franklin. And Christian McCaffrey, 19.7 points, 107 total yards, 6 receptions, and 1 touchdown, despite not having his starting quarterback. And Devontae Adams, 19.6 points, 106 receiving yards on 6 receptions, and 1 touchdown.
So I'm thinking about a sound drop for Tucker Kraft. I don't know if you remember from I think it was Old School. If we go Tucker Kraft, cheese.
Yeah. Didn't we lock you in the dumpster? Yeah, I got out.
There you go. And then my next question is Troy Franklin a electrician company or a plumbing company?
Oh, Troy Franklin. I don't know, man. When I hear Troy, I think of the Goonies.
All right, moving along here, we've got Ramondre Stevenson taking up some work in the middle of the field today, pounding the Dolphins at 18.7 points on 142 total yards. He got there with 5 receptions, and he got in the end zone once, not for a touchdown, but for a 2-point conversion. And Kenneth Walker, Texas Ranger, went from a big-time dud last week to the stud list this week, getting 18.3 points. He got there with 118 total yards, 1 reception, and he got in the end zone for a touchdown. And Jahmyr Gibbs at 17.9 points, 104 total yards, 3 receptions, and he got in the end zone. And his teammate was the most efficient player in all of football, Jamison Williams, at 17.8 points, got there on only 2 catches, but he got 108 yards, and he scored a touchdown. Who else do we have on our stud list?
All right, next up, this guy said, injuries, don't worry, guys. I got it covered here. Mr. Jawan Jennings, 17.4 points, 89 receiving yards, 5 receptions, and 1 touchdown. And our first kicker on the list for the studs, Graham Gano, 14.4 points, 3 field goals, and 4 point afters.
We got Matt Prater's next.
Oh, I'm sorry. Matt Prater is next. I'm like,
okay.
oh, Graham Gano's there. Oh, we're done. This list is done. Matt Prater is next up. 14.3 points for Matt. 3 field goals, 3 point afters, and 1 50-plus yarder for Matt. Great job. And my man, Chris Boswell, sitting down on my roster here. 14.1 points. And he said, hey, guys, look at this. I don't need to kick any point afters. 3 field goals. That's it.
Keeping with the kickers here, we got Jake Elliott at 12.9 points, had 2 field goals, 2 extra points, and both of his field goals were over 50 yards. Tyler Loop, the rookie, I think he's a rookie, young kicker out of Baltimore at 12.5 points as well, had 2 field goals and 5 extra points. And we had some defenses make the list this week. Baltimore defense at 12.5 points, and boy, did they fill up the stat sheet this week. They had 2 sacks, 1 interception, 1 fumble recovery, 1 defensive touchdown, 1 blocked kick, and 2 fourth down stops. They were dominating today over the Cleveland Browns. And the New England defense had 12.5 points as well, with 5 sacks. Tua was getting banged up, especially in that second half, including 1 interception, 1 big kick return touchdown, and 2 fourth down stops themselves. All right, guys, for every yin, there's a yang. For every stud, there's a dud. It's time to run through some of our duds this week, and we have some big names to top off this list. Who you got for us, Bernie?
Yeah, big 4. I'm sorry. 4 quarterbacks to start the top of this list here. Josh Allen at 11.82 points. Cam Ward at 11.8 points. Jalen Hurts at 11.54 points. And Joe Burrow at 7.04 points. And I believe 3 of those 4 were the 3 first quarterbacks drafted in our league.
Yes, indeed. Of course, Joe Burrow had the rough day as he left before halftime with the injury, which is awful for him and the Bengals. Moving along here, Michael Pittman went from stud last week to dud this week at 6 points. David Njoku at 6 points as well. Justin Fields for never at 5.98 points. He did leave the game a little early, but it was later into the second half, so this dud came on the field, not due to injury. Hollywood Brown, this game was a slugfest and just a ball control game, so the receivers were not too important at 5.5 points. What other players do we have on our dud list?
Staying with that game, A.J. Brown on the other side here, 5.2 points. Stephon Diggs, 5.2 points. Travion Henderson, 5 points. And Brees Lightning, more like Brees Fire, put that fire out. Hall at 4.8 points. I was trying something. I was a fail. Sorry.
I wanted to give you a chance, but I couldn't help it.
Yeah, right.
All right, moving along here, we got Keon Coleman at 4.1 points, Sam Laportapati at 4.1, Marvin Harrison Jr. at 3.7, and Travis Hunter was all over the field, but none of it counted for stats for fantasy at 3.7 points. Who else do we have on this dud list?
We got a couple running backs to come up here. Mr. Isaiah Pacheco, he's running hard, but he ain't going anywhere, man. 3.4 points. RJ Harvey, 2.9 points. Ooh, my man, King Henry, Derrick Henry, 2.3 points. Just wasn't in the game script today for you. And Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, 1.7 points. But arrows looking up because there's only one way to go from 1.7 points.
I'm going to mention these here. Like I said, we're going to have a truncated 2-point conversation later. Spoiler alert. So I just want to mention here, and RJ Harvey's on the dud list here. It seemed like to me J.K. Dobbins was the main running back today for the Denver Broncos, rather. And I was going to say Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. I was going to say something about him, but I forget what it was. They just got dominated by the Green Bay defense. That's what it was. The Green Bay defense was just in control of that game and took over the stifled the Commanders' offense. All right, other duds this week include Khalil Shakir at 1.7 points, Matthew Golden at 1.5, Cortland Sutton did nothing at 1.1, and Braylon Allen only had 1.1 points for the Jets today, who got dominated in their game against the Bills.
Next up, we got Juju Smith-Schuster at 1 point, Luther Burden at 1 point, the Jets and Indianapolis defense both at 1 point.
All right, moving along here, we've got our gaggle of gooses, our geeses, our lay the eggs. These guys had either 0 points or darn near close to. Mark Andrews at 0.9 points, Xavier Legette at 0.5. Caleb Johnson actually improved his output this week at 0.1 points, and Colston Loveland got 0 points. All right, we told you there's a lot of studs this week, and last week we had 0 mecha studs. The first time ever in our show's history. This week we've got a ton. We've got at least 12 mecha studs here. Let's see who went nuclear and made our mecha stud list.
Mega Studs.
All right, guys, these guys went nuclear, and it makes total sense as the sun god, Amon-Ra St. Brown, for 34.7 points, 122 receiving yards, 9 receptions, and in the playground of the day against the Bears here, he had 3 touchdowns. Staying in that same sandbox, we have Jared Goff, Jared MVP, at 33.96 points, 334 passing yards, and 5 passing touchdowns. And Malik, won't you be my neighbors?
Won't you be my neighbor?
Had 33.2 points on 167 receiving yards, 9 catches, and he got in the end zone twice. Of course, whenever you have a receiver making this mega stud list, there's usually a quarterback not too far behind. Russell Wilson. What? 32.3 points. He had 450 passing yards, 23 rushing yards, and 3 passing touchdowns. And what was one of the most bonkers game, back and forth, went to the end of overtime with 2 monster kicks to tie the game and win the game for the Cowboys. Who else is on our mecha stud list?
All right. Despite not having his starting quarterback for the whole game, Mr. Jamar Chase, 29.5 points with 165 receiving yards, 14 receptions, and 1 touchdown. I'm sorry, Jamar, but you can't pad your points for next week and the week after. Jonathan Taylor is next up on this list at 28.5 points, 215 total yards. He had 2 receptions, which is nice, and a touchdown. Lovely. And Rome, if she wants to, Adunze, 28.3 points, 128 receiving yards on 7 receptions, and 2 touchdowns for Rome. And Jimbo, James Cook, 26 fantasy points on 135 total yards, 1 reception in there, and 2 touchdowns.
Every time I looked up, I felt like I saw another long run from Jonathan Taylor, especially in that second half of the game. James Cook, I kept seeing his stupid highlights replayed over and over again to rub it in. And Roma Dunze looked like the favorite target in a blowout, but he got all of the production for the Bears, getting those 2 touchdowns. All right, moving along here. Brandon Aubrey, number 1 kicker off the board, made it worth it as he's a mecha stud at 24.5 points. 4 field goals, 4 extra points. 2 of those field goals were over 50 yards, including a 64-yard field goal at the buzzer of regulation to send it into overtime, where he finished off the overtime to kick a 40-plus yard kick to win the game at the buzzer of overtime. A busy, productive day for Brandon Aubrey. Staying in that same game, Wandale Robinson. What is this? 24.2 points on 142 receiving yards. Usually this guy gets 10 catches for 30 yards. Not today. 142 yards, 8 catches, and he got in the end zone on a bomb. And we've got a kicker here once again, Joey Sly, a mecha stud at 19.4 points. 4 field goals, 1 point after. 2 of his field goals were longer than 50 yards. And Spencer Schrader in another bonanza of a game, taking on the vaunted defense of Denver Broncos. The Indianapolis Colts came through. 19.1 points for the kicker for Indy, and he had 5 field goals and 2 point after kicks here. All right, guys, now we're going to get into our 2-point conversation. The theme for this week, let's get into the graphic before we do that. It's time to get into this week's 2-point conversation.
Is Jack Del Rio going to go for 2 here,
He's
Link?
going for 2.
The Raiders will go for 2 and the probable victory with 47 seconds left.
If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win.
Wingman Fantasy Football's 2-point conversation.
And it's good! Oh my goodness!
All right, guys, I got 2 things to say a little bit before we get into some of these games here. The theme for this weekend's action was blowouts or thrilling finishes and nothing in between. A huge rebound for our top performers from week 1's duds, and the wide receivers shine in week 2. All right, guys, we had a little bit of technical difficulty, so we're going to have a truncated version here. We're going to bring a special guest and focus on one game here. But before we do that, Bernie, are there any just quick overarching themes you want to bring up about some of the big-time games we went through today?
Oh, good gosh.
Well, I know I kind of put you on the spot. So we had a couple games that were like back and forth at the end. We mentioned the Giants-Dallas game.
Yes.
We had the Indianapolis-Denver game. And then was there another one that was super close? The Bengals and Jacksonville game was also close when it came down to the end of the game.
Yeah, I think this was more of a the big teams came out to score, but not all of the small teams said go ahead and walk all over us. Some of these teams put up a pretty big fight and made some really close competition in these games here. I'd say the overarching thing was week 1 was a fluke, and week 2, here are your fantasy numbers.
Good point. Good point. All right, we're going to bring in a special guest here. Let's bring him in here. Let's see if this works. Hello, Mr. Austin. We're going to talk about the game that you were most invested in today, the Dolphins game. Bernie, why don't you, if you still have it, can you get us the rundown of this Dolphins game here?
Oh, yeah, for sure. All right, so we got a little Patriots 33, Dolphins 27. The Patriots, they earned Mike Vrabel's first win as a head coach in dramatic fashion, overcoming a 27-23 fourth quarter deficit with explosive special teams plays and clutch defensive stops. This wild shootout featured 9 total touchdowns, including 2 return scores, making a statement victory for New England in the AFC East.
Yeah, this game started off, both teams were at least efficient. I think Tua, I don't know the exact numbers, but Tua was like 9 for 10 to start out with, and Drake May was like 12 for 14. Both quarterbacks, I think they were maybe trading field goals. It wasn't high scoring, but they were definitely moving the ball very efficiently. And then it seemed like the Dolphins were behind, and then all of a sudden they were coming back here. They took a huge They got a huge punt return to take the lead later in the fourth quarter. I know, Austin, you were very excited to see that Malik Washington punt return to give them the lead. What did you think about this game, and especially that part where they were coming back in the fourth quarter?
Well, I thought we had it, but then we choked in the end, and then we ended up losing.
Welcome to Dolphin fandom, my man.
Mm-hmm. Like, Tua was playing so good. Like, last game against the Colts, he was colorblind. He's throwing to the other team every single time. He had a fumble. And this game, he was throwing so good. I thought maybe they were practicing a lot, and he got back into it. And then all of a sudden he throws an interception, and they get the ball back, and now we're down a whole touchdown. And then A-Chain tries to run it in, gets in the end zone, but stepped out of bounds, and now we're down another touchdown. We're still down a touchdown, and we still have a chance, and we blow it. 2 is running out of bounds every play. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, everybody's wide open. There's a lot of people wide open, and he just still runs out of bounds when he has an opportunity to just give it to them and get a touchdown. And he was sabotaging most of the time.
I will say before that ending, which is the heartbreaking, there was some signs of life. We had Jalen Waddle get a nice long touchdown pass. He had a couple of good first down catches. I saw you doing the Waddle dance in the middle of the room today, Austin. And Tyreek Hill had a couple big plays earlier, but they were getting more and more disconnected as the game was going on in terms of Tyreek Hill. Like you said, Tua got off to a hotter start, and as the game went on, they had some big plays, and then it just kind of sputtered as they were getting. I think their butt cheeks clenched up a little bit as they were getting to the end of that game.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. So right after that punt return from Malik Washington, everyone was excited. They took a lead. I don't know how much time is left, 6 minutes or so, maybe even less. And they
7 minutes and 18 seconds.
Perfect, thank you. And after that punt return to take the lead, they kicked it off. And what do you know? Right after they run back the kick, it was Antonio Gibson ran back, I don't know, a 94, 96-yard kick return to get the touchdown and get the lead right back for the Patriots. That was a gut punch. How'd you experience that back-to-back special teams touchdowns, Austin?
Well, when Malik Washington goes into the end zone, I'm running around the house like, oh my gosh, we just took the lead. There's not that much time left. If our defense can just stay good like it has been for this whole quarter, then maybe we can actually win this game. And I'm not even in the room. And then I come back and they're running it, and they're already at like the 65-yard line, and I'm now crying because they take the lead again. And it was just back to back right after that.
Yeah, that was a big time swing of emotions. And then, so right after that, then I don't know if there was I don't know if they went back and forth on some kind of punts or not, but the Patriots had the ball up with 3, and they were moving to score where a touchdown would obviously get it out of reach. They were going to go for it on 4th and 1 inside field goal range, but they had that false start, which gave the Dolphins hope. Also, the Patriots, instead of running it every time as they got in there, did a couple incomplete passes, left Miami with a timeout. So they got the ball back down by 6 to the Dolphins after a made field goal from the Patriots. So they had the ball with about 1 minute and 38 seconds left, down 6 with the ball. They've got to score a touchdown now. We're thinking, come on, Dolphins, you got to go down the length of the field. Let's get some intermediate passes here. And they do a couple little dink and dunk swing passes. But before you know it, one of those swing passes turns into an explosive play. We see Devon Achane running down the sideline. They call a touchdown. And then all of a sudden you're like, why'd they stop celebrating? What happened on this long play? Did you think it was a touchdown? Did you see him step out of bounds, Austin?
Well, I kind of thought he stepped out of bounds when I was watching it, but they didn't say anything. So I was like, oh my gosh, he's going to bring this in. And then he goes to the end zone, and I'm now also running around the house again. And then I come back, and then, yeah, they're not celebrating. I'm like, what's happening? No way we just got flagged on that. And when I got the flag, I was praying it was on the defense and not the offense. But he did step out of bounds, and that cost us the game.
Bernie, when you saw that live, I didn't think he stepped out of bounds watching it live. I guess I wasn't watching every step. Did you notice he stepped out of bounds in real time, or did you have to see the replay to even have that shown to you?
No, yeah, I thought he was good. I did not see it live when I was watching it, but I was watching multiple games, so it's kind of hard. It's like you hear the announcer going, or you see something happening, and then you go over real quick. So, yeah, it was a tough one. I don't think he realized it because they were celebrating pretty hard.
Yeah. And it was weird because he did a lot of nifty footwork to get around some tacklers. When they showed the replay, I'm like, oh, he must have stepped out of bounds there. And he didn't. All the hard moves, he danced awesome down the sideline, but he made one cut to try and turn back, kind of angling towards the middle of the end zone, if you will. And he did a wide step with no one around him, and there was no one in front of him. He didn't have to even change the trajectory of his run. It wasn't the nifty feet that got him out of bounds. It was just him wanting to kind of get to more open space, and he just did a wide step and got out of bounds, and that was a killer right there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But even after that, they still had the ball. There were a minute 9 seconds left. They he got a good run before he stepped out of bounds, not as far as he went to the end zone. Obviously, they're like at the 40-yard line, give or take. So they still had they had time. I don't know if they had a timeout left at this point. They probably still did, but I'm not sure. And then Tua just, I think, the pressure got to him at that last minute where he's kind of felt like we did it. And then when it didn't happen, he's like, oh, I got to do that again. I got lucky to do it the first time. I can't do it again. And it felt like he kind of shut down. There was that situation that all Dolphin fans know was going to happen at some point. It was third down. He's scrambling a little bit. And we have this tug and pull here. Does he try and make a scramble to get a first down, or does he just throw it away to live another day? Because if he gets hurt, they lose 6 games. If they lose today, it's 1 game. And you could see him really struggling. He was scrambling out to the left. He could have run up for a 4-yard gain with no one touching him. He could have thrown the ball away and had a 0-yard gain and stopped the clock. But instead, he ran out of bounds for a loss of 2 or so. And he took a time doing it. Like, you could tell he was really thinking, what's the best course of action? And he was thinking more about what he should do for potentially health or perception, as opposed to just making the best football play. I know he has a lot of pressure on him. No matter what he does, he's going to lose in that situation in terms of the Monday morning quarterbacking. But you could tell he was not focusing on the football play. He was focusing on what he was supposed to do to make everyone happy. What do you think about that, Austin, that you saw him kind of give up and run out of bounds and lose yards when they needed to go forward?
Well, when he kept running out of bounds, I was like, well, I understand when it was like the second down and like you couldn't find anybody the pressure was getting to you. But then when it's like third or fourth down and you're still doing that, it's like, well, now you just that was a waste of a down. Now
the third down one was the one that was like, oh man, you got to do something. I'm not saying.
Yeah, you got to do something. Now it's fourth down, and if you mess up, there's just no way you can recover from the mess up on that one.
Yep. What do you think about Bernie? We know we have this. He has this overarching narrative and storyline on him having to like make decisions to keep him healthy and or to make decisions to win. No matter what he does, he loses.
Yeah. I think that the backup quarterback will probably come in sooner than later. When do we play the Bills? Week 3?
This Thursday. They only have 4 days off.
Yeah, that'll be his last game for a while. So, you might want to sit Tua next week.
Because of benching or because of injury?
No, because of a concussion. He's going to get knocked out of the game.
Yeah, I feel like he seems to always get concussed in these Thursday night games. I feel like he didn't get hit today, but it seems like he needs that full 5-6 days off to reset his to recalibrate his concussion meter. I don't know.
I think the consensus amongst smarter minds than mine say that the Bills game is the end of the season or end of the few games in the season for him, and maybe it's time to retire after that game. So we'll see. We all want what's best for Tua, but the only way that we could probably get out of this contract that we're paying him, because I don't think we're going to be able to trade him, nobody's going to take it, is to probably have him retire, and that was going to take a pretty big hit. So I don't know. It's scary. It's scary all around.
Yeah. So, Austin, you were mentioning when you saw some of the stats on the graphics of the game that you were saying that Tua has never lost to the Patriots, and you were all fired up saying, we got this. He never loses to the Patriots. And I was like, yeah, but he never beats the coach. He never beats the new coach. Which one's going to give? And it seems like Vrabel is the biggest differential here.
Well, I see a lot of people out there saying how Tua is a really bad quarterback. Just find some way to get rid of him. And I feel like Tua is a good quarterback that just has a lot of bad moments, and those bad moments is why people think he's a bad quarterback. Like, he throws good. He can't really run the ball, but he can throw good. But like, he sometimes just doesn't think right, and then he gets sacked or throws an interception because he just gets scared, which makes sense. He's got injured a lot of times in the past, and now he's just trying to be careful because if he's not careful, he's probably going to get traded or cut or something, benched. And he just definitely does not want that.
Gotcha. Hey, Bernie, you said you were communicating with some fans that were on the ground and had some thoughts at field level that they were sharing with you.
Yeah, a couple things, but before I get to that, I just want to say, just in defense of Tua, and Tua is not a bad quarterback.
I don't disagree. Right?
Let's say this: the Dolphins, they extended their streak starting from week 1, 10 consecutive possessions without a defensive stop.
Oh,
You know,
geez.
that's a lot. Miami forced their first punt of this season on New England's opening drive of the second half. So it took how many quarters? That 6 quarters before they forced a punt. I mean, it it's not good, and
Right.
it's not all on Tua.
Right. Fair.
Yeah,
Good way
yeah,
to bring that up. Thank you.
yeah. But yes, so we have a season ticket holder that goes to all the games with and without his brown paper bag, depending on who's playing. But he said that Tua, he has Tyreek open on the right side a lot, like a lot. And it's whenever he's rolling out to his left, he just either doesn't read that side of the field or something's going on where he's just not seeing it. So um maybe the play calling isn't as bad as everyone thinks it is, even though McDaniel is on the hot seat for real, for real. Um, maybe it's just a combination of everything. It's like the perfect storm of bad, and they're also scoring. So they're also playing good enough not for the fans to be like, they're playing good. We got hope, but everything's just bad. The offensive line's bad. The defense is bad. Play calling might be bad. Game time management might be bad. The GM is bad. Like the owner's bad. Everything's just bad.
Austin, I want to welcome you to being a fan of a football team, in particular this one. Bernie will let you know there's years and years of this to live through. So welcome to the club, I guess. Strife makes people stronger, or at least are miserable together. I'm not sure how you want to take it, but are you going to watch the Thursday night game against Buffalo, or are you going to just take a week off?
I'm going to try to. But yeah, like we were saying, the defense is not very good. When you don't resign all your good players, then you're just left with a pile of bad players. Like if we just re-signed, well, I don't. If we re-signed, what was his name, Kendall Fuller?
Yeah.
We could have maybe had even a chance. Or I mean, obviously we got a good player off of Jalen Ramsey, but like, I feel like most of our corners are gone.
You're not wrong. You might have a job at the GM. Let's get your resume in there, Austin. It seems like you had a pulse on the team here. Hey, Austin, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. Well done. Good insights. I think you've got a future as being a miserable Dolphins fan. It's a big club. Welcome to it.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time. All right, bud.
Okay. Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Austin. I appreciate that. One more thing I kind of want to bring up. You mentioned it again with our boots on the ground there at the Dolphins Stadium. We mentioned in our last mailbag that there was a campaign, if you will, to try and I don't know if it's hire the right word, reserve a plane flying over the stadium.
Commission. I believe it's commission. Commission a plane.
Okay, commission a plane to carry a sign with certain I guess suggestions about some of the management and or coaching staff of the Dolphins. What can you tell us about that particular story?
Yeah, so I guess there was a GoFundMe page to get a sign that says fire Greer and fire McDaniel, and they pulled it off. And we had our buddy Ken, Fantastic's manager. He was at the game and sent us all a group photo or a group chat photo of the banner, and it flew over the stadium. Now, I haven't spoken to Ken directly to see if this was a real image or if he was just kind of messing with us, but I think it might have been real, like for real, for real.
Well, we got the tip that this was coming down, and I told the people who were there, look up at noon, and again, I didn't have direct correlation to direct involvement with that thing, but I was aware that this was that they were doing it, and it seemed to come from credible sources, so it seemed like they came through. So just whatever that's worth, you got some passionate fans that they're going to do their part, and they're going to go through what they need to go through to get their message sent out to the team.
I guess so, man. I guess so. I guess their groceries aren't too bad down there, shopping at Safeway and stuff.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us on that 2-point conversation. Now we're going to get into some early waiver wire thoughts. These are guys that caught our attention today before we fully process who we might put some waiver claims on. These are guys that we're going to think about and maybe put some fab dollars on some bids. Bernie, who do you have for some of your quarterback early waiver wire targets?
So I got Mac Jones. He was okay. He had 9 of 14, 158 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think that he played okay. So maybe get him on there as your handcuff, I guess. But he didn't play bad. And then Cam Ward, circle it. He had his first career touchdown. He's got some deep ball ability here. So Cam Ward, I wouldn't spend fab dollars on him, but I would definitely circle him and keep an eye on him.
All right, I got a couple quarterbacks here as well. We got Russell Wilson coming off a 450-yard passing day. They're playing Kansas City, so I don't like the matchup, but we thought we didn't like the matchup for Daniel Jones against Denver, and what do we know about that? So Russell Wilson coming off a big game, which means he's probably not going to do it back-to-back, but nonetheless, he earned himself another week to start for the Giants, so there's someone to keep an eye on. And Sam Darnold has not been quite as prolific as he was with the Vikings here, but he's been steady, still getting those like 17 to 20 points. If you're in a pinch, if you're a Joe Burrow manager, you lost a quarterback. Sam Darnold's up against the New Orleans Saints. Those games are ugly, but they do usually end up with about a 25 to 20 point score. So there's at least a couple touchdowns to be had. Do you have any running backs that are catching your attention as you're combing through some waiver wire targets?
Yeah, I got 2 running backs here. Dare Agumbawale. He fumbled late, but he saw significant touches in a close game. So he's a potential depth option behind that Texans offense there. And then Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson showed a little something on a kickoff return. Good special teams weapon, but he's got potential to possibly have a backfield role. So he's one like Cam Ward. Just circle him. You're not spending fab dollars on him. Just keep an eye on him.
All right, I got a couple guys here, not prolific. Once again, we've made it through week 2 without the obvious pickup in running backs. That's great news, obviously. So I got Miles Sanders here. We mentioned it in the news. Jadon Blue was a second week in a row a healthy scratch. Miles Sanders, the backup. Whatever you think about how good he is or not, he is there. He's getting the secondary carries behind Javonte Williams, and I believe he scored today. I'm pretty sure, and I think he scored last week too. Not positive on that part, but I think he scored 2 touchdowns, and I know he had a long run last week. He did have that fumble that kind of stifled his fourth quarter work in the week 1, but he's the secondary running back. He's scoring touchdowns, getting long runs. Keep that in mind. They obviously trust him more than the rookie Jadon Blue, so that's someone to keep an eye on. And I'm not sure which one is going to be the guy to get here, but with the injury to Austin Eckler, we expect Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt to take the bulk load of the first and second down carries, but he's not an all-around back. So they're either going to turn to Jeremy McNichols to be more of the third down back, or they might go back and forth with Chris Rodriguez to not put too much on the 7th round rookie. So either of these Commanders running backs might be someone to just keep an eye on. Rodriguez has been a healthy scratch 2 weeks in a row. I think that's going to change with the lack of depth for the Commanders, and they are playing the Las Vegas Raiders next week, and Miles Sanders is playing at the Chicago Bears next week. Do you have any wide receivers that you're looking at?
Yeah, I got a couple of wide receivers here. Devontae Walker for Baltimore. He had 2 touchdowns today. Not a big yardage day, but he's a clear red zone target when he's on the field. So keep an eye on him. Tyquan Thornton, 49-yard touchdown bomb from Mahomes late in the fourth quarter. So he should see an expanded role with Worthy and Rice not being on the field. And then lastly, I'll let you say his name, Tennessee wide receiver.
Alec Iomanner.
Thank you, sir. He caught the first Cam Ward touchdown pass on a low probability throw, I might add. And he seems to have building a good connection here with the rookie. So keep an eye on him with Ward later in the season. If this develops into something, that might be a really good stack that you could pick up on the low.
Yeah, I've mentioned before, I like Iomanner. He's not a speedster. He's not the biggest guy, but he's kind of like a good all around. He's a good high point guy, strong guy, not one of those skinny guy, skinny receivers. So I think he's a tough nosed kind of player who's going to fight for the ball. You always like those type of receivers. I got a couple other guys that caught my attention. Troy Franklin, went bananas today. Marvin Mims also caught a touchdown, but Troy Franklin had over 100 yards, if I'm not mistaken, or right near there. But they're playing Green Bay next week, so we kind of don't want to do anything with that. But again, we can always make mistakes on these assuming of matchups. And Wan'Dale Robinson usually gets 10 catches for 30 yards, but today he had some bombs, 140 yards or so. Again, they're playing Kansas City. Don't love the matchup, but he is one of the top 2 targets for the Giants. Do you have any defenses or kickers that are at least caught your attention going potentially into the next week?
No, I did not see anything that caught my attention. I will have something for my deep dive. Do you have anything for this quick look?
Yeah, just a quick look here. I got Tampa Bay. They're playing against the New York Jets next week. We saw what Buffalo did. They manhandled the Jets, and there's a likelihood, I think, or at least a potentiality. Is that a word? Potential that Fields might be out. So you have Tampa Bay against a mediocre offense, probably at best, with a backup quarterback who's a solid backup, but nonetheless, it is a backup quarterback. Atlanta Falcons up against Carolina. One, we like the matchup. We saw Carolina give a fumble recovery for a touchdown, followed by an interception right after that, and they always like to get sacked as Bryce Young. But not only is the matchup here, I think Atlanta might be a stout defense. They dominated Minnesota on Sunday night, putting the rookie in his place as they could hardly move the ball today. So keep an eye on Atlanta as a potential pickup. And the Washington Commanders, I still think they're a pretty solid defense, but I think they're a matchup dependent. They're not good enough to take on anybody. They're matchup dependent. They're playing Las Vegas, so that comes down to how you view the Vegas offense. If you think they're a below average offense, Washington might be a streamable defense. If you kind of like what Geno Smith's doing there, that's probably a team you could probably find better options. All right. Do you have any thoughts on those defenses there real quick before we go along?
No, I do like to see that Atlanta defense though picking up, and the only thing I'd have to say about the Vegas defense is they've got a possible defensive MVP on their team, and I think that they should be coming alive, and then once they do come alive, they're going to be a defense to be reckoned with.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us for another edition of Wingman Fantasy Football, the League Podcast. Got to ask you a couple questions before you get out of here. Like I said, behind the curtain, we had some technical difficulties, had to start over. So that's why we get a smaller 2-point conversation. What do you guys like? You like us going through all the games? I know it's going a lot of information, but it gives a lot of good information as well. Or do you like us bringing in maybe a guest and focusing in on one game? Both are viable options. Just let me know what you guys think is the best course going forward, whether it's all the time or maybe every other time. I'm just interested what was more enjoyable for you guys. But while jumping around here, when you find us on those podcast network, guys, go ahead. You can search Wingman the League. We'll come to the top of your search. We're on all the podcast platforms out there: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and the Odyssey app. When you head to those platforms, do me the favor, put a 5-star rating, leave a comment, let us know what you like, let us know what we can improve on, and we'll do the best we can for that. Also, if you have any nicknames, I like Daniel Indiana Jones. I love it. We will get that. You call him Dr. Jones. I can't do it as good as you, Bernie. I'm sorry. Nonetheless, if you want to see our pretty faces, our graphics, and all the other stuff, go ahead to our YouTube channel at wingmanfantasyfootball.com/YouTube. When you head over there, do me the favor, hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Let us know what format you like best in the 2-point conversation. Whatever comments you put in there, we'll get into our next mailbag segment. So thank you for doing that, guys. And with that being said, may your glasses be full, mine's almost empty, and your mugs stay frosty.
And make sure that you have 2 wins on your fantasy football team through 2 weeks.
I disagree with you. I think 2 losses builds character. All right, guys, we'll see you next time. Thanks.